Hey man, I'm Jusko from ProudMoney.com. Second quarter of 2023 is about to hit us, and so it is time for another exciting installment of What's in My Wallet? What credit cards am I using? People often ask me what credit cards I actually use, since I talk about a lot of different credit cards on this channel. So every 3 months I run down the cards that I'm holding that I'm going to use. Some of these are going to stay the same from quarter to quarter, but then there are always special offers. Sometimes I get new cards. So I'm going to show you what I'm doing, and I would love to hear what you're doing as well. So let's start with the big three categories, or what I consider the big three categories of groceries, gas, and restaurant purchases. As far as grocery store purchases are concerned, the AAA Daily Advantage Visa has become my go-to in my wallet for the grocery store. It's giving you 5% cash back on grocery store purchases. It also gives 3% back at wholesale clubs. So if you are a Costco member, this is a Visa card, so you can actually use it in Costco stores. So that is another nice feature of it with no annual fee. This is a card that, to some extent, if you're not really paying attention to credit cards, flies a little under the radar because it's not from one of the sort of major banks out there, but a really, really good card for groceries. Now, as sort of a backup, it's the Blue Cash Preferred from American Express. This is a card that gives 6% back at US supermarkets, does have a $95 annual fee. I am actually a authorized user on my wife's version of this card, so she tends to use this for the grocery store purchases and does a little more grocery store purchases than I do, so she kind of gets the 6% back on that, and I use the other for 5%. Now this also has 6% on streaming services, 3% on gas purchases, and my wife doesn't really like to juggle cards as much as I do, so this one works well for the groceries and the gas. And then of course the streaming we don't have to carry the card around for, but still another nice thing to have. So this card's still worth it with that $95 annual fee as far as I am concerned. And then third on the groceries is the Target Red Card, because some of our groceries also come from Target. This one gives you a 5% discount on all your purchases at Target. If you are not holding this card and you are a Target shopper, you're paying 5% more than everyone else. Next up, let's talk about those restaurant purchases. For the second quarter, the Discover It card is offering 5% back as one of its rotating 5% categories at restaurants, and so that is going to be my go-to in the restaurant category in the second quarter. Now you may be wondering, why are you showing me two Discover cards on that white sheet of paper? And the reason is because during the first quarter somebody got their hands on my Discover card number, or maybe they somehow guessed it through some other method that I don't understand, and I had to have it replaced. So they just recently sent these to me. Now there are two of them because you can actually have multiple designs on your Discover card, and they are the same card with the same number and everything. They just look different, and so they sent me both of these. But anyway, 5% at restaurants in the second quarter, and then also 5% at wholesale clubs, but not Costco, because you can't use Discover inside a Costco store. But if you have another wholesale club where you can use Discover, well, then you get 5% there too. And then as far as gas purchases go, those are going to go on my Citi Custom Cash card that gives you 5% cash back in the purchasing category where you spend the most each billing cycle, gas stations being one of those categories. This is normally my restaurants card. That's where I usually put most of my spending so that I can get the 5% back at restaurants. But since the Discover is going to give me 5%, the Citi Custom Cash is going to be the gas card for the second quarter. This card has no annual fee. Everything else that you purchase with it only gets you 1%. So a lot of us tend to use it just for the 5% category each time. I'm actually kind of surprised that this card still exists in its original form, because I don't see how they're making a lot of money off of it unless they just have a lot of people that really do just spend away on this card and are happy to get 5% in one of their categories. So those are the big three categories, but there's more to look at. Let's talk about the Chase Freedom Flex, which will be in my wallet in the second quarter. The one of the few cards left that is so annoying that I have to put my hand in front of it so you don't see all my credit card numbers. But anyway, this one is giving 5% back at Amazon and at Lowe's in the second quarter. Mostly I'll probably use this at Amazon and not at Lowe's, but I'll carry it around just in case I happen to go to Lowe's. Now I have the Amazon Prime card that gives me 5% back on Amazon purchases, so I don't necessarily need to use the Chase Freedom Flex, but I'm making the decision to get those 5 Chase Ultimate Rewards points on my purchases with Amazon instead of just the Amazon points that I would get with the Amazon Prime Visa, because because I can use these points in more multiple ways, and because I have the Chase Sapphire Preferred, where I could potentially take those points and transfer them into transfer partners or get a little extra when I use their travel portal. I'll be carrying the Wells Fargo Autograph Visa. I'm not sure how often I will actually use it during the second quarter, but I do like having this card around as sort of a catch-all when I'm, I don't know, not paying very much attention or whatever. I just know there are a lot of 3% or 3 points per dollar categories with this card. Gas, restaurants, travel, and transit is probably where I would actually consciously pull it out if I have certain purchases in those categories where I know they'll be covered. But this one mostly serves as a backup to other things, but like if I'm standing at the gas pump and then all of a sudden I can't find the right card, I'm like, well, I know that one is going to give me at least 3%. And then my catch-all is the 2% card, the Citi Double Cash. I'm going to get 2% cash back on all other purchases that don't fall into any of those categories, or at least any other categories where I'm not getting more than 2%. People always ask me, well, why do you hold the Citi Double Cash? There's all kinds of other 2% cashback cards out there as well. And the reason is because I've had this for a really long time and there hasn't really been a reason for me to get a different 2% cashback credit card. But there are plenty of other good ones out there that do essentially the same thing. A nice fallback card for anything that doesn't fit into any of the other categories, or if you're just lazy and want to make sure you're getting at least 2% on everything. Oh, and then actually I also carry the Capital One Venture X, which is going to be sort of the fallback to the fallback in terms of this being the backup to that Citi Custom Cash Card. Gives 2 points per dollar or 2 miles per dollar in the Capital One system. Sometimes I will use this if I, for whatever reason, can't find the other card or there's some issue with that card. I like to have it around, but it doesn't get a whole lot of use. So if I did my math right, I think I'm carrying 8 cards, but I'll probably mostly only use 5 of those cards on a regular basis. Now I do have a stack of other credit cards that for one reason or another are either not in my wallet or not even going to get used at all in the second quarter. So let's take a look at what those things are. First, we'll talk about the American Express Platinum, which is a card that I don't really use a whole ton. It is something that, to be honest with you, I have mostly because I have this YouTube channel, and so I like to see what's going on with it, and I try to take advantage of whatever I can. The Uber credits I take advantage of to some extent. The $50 Saks credit I will take advantage of, even though normally I would not shop at Saks. I have not set up the Walmart Plus membership yet that I can get with this card. And the only reason I would do that actually is because you can get a Paramount Plus subscription through the Walmart Plus subscription. So this is kind of a lot of work to get yourself down to the Paramount Plus subscription. It's got the lounge access from American Express. You do get 5x on flights that you book with this card, as well as prepaid hotels if the hotels go through AmexTravel.com. So maybe, I used to have a lot more travel points. I've really blown through a lot of them over the past, I don't know, 6 months to a year. So maybe I would actually book some flights with this card going forward. I don't have anything on the horizon in the second quarter, but I could see that potentially happening. But this is a card that I'm paying for that honestly, I don't know if I would hold if I did not have this YouTube channel. So I just try to suck as much as I can in terms of actual value out of this card every year, but it doesn't usually hit the wallet. The Verizon Visa is a card that I like, but that will probably be staying home for most of the second quarter because I'm getting better returns on other cards. So this card is going to give 4% back at grocery stores, 4% back on gas, and it has a lot of other nice multipliers in terms of cash back as well, but I'm getting 5% in those categories elsewhere. The Amazon Prime Visa, I've already said I'm going to use the 5% on the Chase Freedom Flex for the Amazon purchases in quarter 2, so this card normally is only used for Amazon purchases, so really unless I get some kind of special offer sometime in the near future, this card won't get used in quarter 2. I've got the Citi Premier, and it gives nice 3% back on the big categories out there: restaurant, gas, travel. So this is a nice card in a lot of ways. It's usually a backup to other cards, again, because I'm getting more elsewhere. This card has a $95 annual fee, which scares a lot of people away, but there usually is a very big bonus offer for new card holders on this card, which can make it worthwhile to get. And because it is a good everyday card, you'll feel okay about having it for at least a few years after that because you got such a big bonus. Now I have have this Curve MasterCard, which was supposed to be sort of the one card to rule them all. You take the Curve card and the Curve app and you input all your information from your other credit cards onto this, and then you just use this one card for everything, and then you can designate what of your other cards the purchases should go on to make sure that you're maximizing all your rewards. At least that is the theory. However, in practice, not all of your credit cards can actually go on to the Curve card. So your Visa credit cards cannot be inputted in here, and I don't think your American Express cards can either, which means a lot of your credit cards aren't on here. So then it just becomes more of a pain to try to remember what's on here and what is not. Next up is the Chase Sapphire Preferred, which you might think of as being more of a main card, but for me, I don't have a whole lot of reason to use this card. I do hang on to it in order to potentially access the Chase Travel Transfer Partners and sometimes use the Chase Travel Portal, because I also have the Chase Freedom Flex where I can combine points and do all that good stuff, but I don't really ever use this card. I do have the Apple Card credit card, which has no real use in my wallet, especially the physical card, which only gives 1% cash back on all your purchases, so no real reason to use this when there's so many other good cards out there. If you are someone who really loves Apple and you do everything through Apple Pay, maybe this makes sense for you, but it's not one that I really use. I do have the Wells Fargo Propel, which was sort of the precursor to the Wells Fargo Autograph card, very similar in most ways, no longer offered. I have seen recently that people say that they are actually being forced from this card into the Wells Fargo Autograph if they hold this. I have not had any communication from Wells Fargo so far that that is happening to me. And then finally, I do have the Amex Everyday card. This is a card that I hold only because it is my oldest open credit card account, and so it kind of helps out my credit score. It's got no annual fee, so it's okay for me to just hold on to it, but I would actually change this to something else if there was something else to change it to that made sense from American Express, but as it is, I hold on to it and it sits in the drawer. So I'm pretty well maximized on my categories. 5% on sort of what I consider the big three, 5% at Amazon, the 5% discount at Target. I've got other cards where I'm getting 3%, a couple places where there's 6%, and then a 2% fallback on everything else. Not a whole lot more in terms of places to maximize. Maybe something like the Blue Cash Everyday, where I could get 3% back on my online purchases, would be something that would add a little bit more, but not a whole lot further to go necessarily with what I am holding. So for me, I kind of keep my eyes open and look for bonuses on interesting cards, probably some travel cards, especially those ones that have like a $95 annual fee, but oftentimes they're going to give you a huge bonus on the front end. Those are cards that are nice to get sometimes, just to get yourself 1 or 2 free flights, even if you have to pay a little bit to get them. And then Citi potentially is going to be having this rumored Strata card, or maybe more than one Strata card, come out in the second or third quarter, or who knows when, or if it's even going to happen, but maybe that would be an interesting card where there would be a big bonus on the front end that it would make sense to jump on something like that. Just going to keep my eyes and ears open, and it's probably going to be more about the bonus than it is about maximizing the everyday categories. Would love to hear what you are doing in the second quarter of 2023. Put that in that comment section below. Otherwise, I thank you for watching. And as always, please go to proudmoney.com, where we do credit card reviews. We talk personal finance, we talk deals, and all sorts of other fun stuff too. If you are not going to go to the website, or you're not going to leave a comment, the next video you're going to want to watch, I think, is this one.